morning, everyone. I would like to thank Veronica for this opportunity to... Oh yes, sorry, I was not here, sorry. This is a new experience for me. To speak in English and to translate it in Czech. I would like to follow him actually to see how he translates my speech, but I will talk to you. So thank you, Veronica, for this opportunity to be here. And as she said, my name is Hermina, and I come from the University of Akci in the northern part of Iceland. And I work there as a lecturer at the teacher education department. So I teach future teachers, and that goes to all kinds of schools in Iceland, kindergartens, primary schools, and secondary schools. So I teach future teachers for all levels. I want, in my presentation, to give you some idea from Iceland and some kind of image of the education system. And to do that, I will have to go a little bit back to the history of inclusive education and how inclusive education is kind of presented in our policy and practice in Iceland. But I will maybe not go so much into the idea stuff, but I will try to give you a picture of how it is. We always talk about that in Iceland we started kind of in 1974 to give the idea an implementation in the policy, because our education law from 1974, they kind of state that the school should be for all students. And since that, we gradually started to work on this idea, although we have as well started some other issues that were kind of related to segregated schools. So it kind of follows each other. But today, we have a very clear written policy, education policy on inclusive education, both in our acts and curriculum. And if you are confident in English, you can find our English versions of the curriculum on our website, the Ministry of Education. So the role of the compulsory school in Iceland is to promote the all-round development of all pupils and the participation in a democratic society. So that is very clear that we combine this inclusive education with the participation of all students. So there will be an active participants in schools and later on active participants in society. So we see it as a one whole picture. And the schools then should seek to organize their work in a way that corresponds as fully as possible with the circumstances and the needs of pupils. And so I will not go into all this text. You might, if you want, you can get the slides. I can send it to Veronica, and you can have a PowerPoint show if you like. And I just want to highlight that the system in Iceland is similar to the other Nordic systems, that is based on equal opportunities and an appropriate education for all children. And then it doesn't matter what their physical or mental capabilities may be, or whatever they kind of bring with them. So we recognize it as a human rights issue. That it's their right to seek regular education in their regular schools, in their neighborhoods. It is thus seen as the responsibility of the society, not only the school, but the whole society. And we are trying then to create a just society with, where we kind of celebrate the diversity and reject the homogeneity as a norm. And now I'm talking about how we have established our policy and the education. So All compulsory schools in Iceland are thus entitled to, all school pupils are thus entitled to appropriate education. And in Iceland we have compulsory schools from 6 years old till 16. So it might be different from here. So we have 10 years of compulsory education. But it's divided in 3 levels. But they stay for 10 years in the compulsory school. And then they go to a secondary school if they like. So they can finish their compulsory education at 16. And yes, again, the pupils should have equal opportunities regardless of their abilities or circumstances. And this accounts as well for students with Icelandic not as a mother tongue. And a little bit about the curriculum. What we mean about inclusive school, according to the curriculum, is a compulsory school in the pupil's municipality or local community, where the educational and social requirements of each pupil are met, with emphasis on respect for human values and social justice. And then such a school assumes that everyone has an equal or equivalent study opportunities. And we try to fit the education to the students, not the vice versa. So, and regarding the curriculum, we also recognize that inclusive education is a continuous process. It doesn't happen one day. It takes time, and the aim is always to offer a good education for everyone. And we try to create those schools that we show a respect for diversity, all kinds of diversity, and different needs, and then as well abilities, and whatever students might bring to the school. And then, okay, how does it work, and what does it mean for teachers to work in such a school system with those emphasis? That means in Icelandic schools we have a lot of we have diverse students groups. We have maybe Anna-Kristin will help me now, but the numbers for special schools in Iceland are 4%. 1%, yes. 1% of students are in segregated special schools. And yes, and we have that. Yeah, there are 4 special schools. Yes.
4 schools, 1% of students.
Right. So there are very, very few. But Iceland is a tiny country, and the population is only 330,000. So less than here in Brno, I think. Yeah, for the whole nation. And so we have all this diverse group of students within the regular schools for 10 years. And that means it calls for diversity, flexibility in teaching methods and how we approach the students. And thus we need to build teachers' professionalism around teamwork. That is a very important issue in the practices, that teaching is a teamwork. And to share knowledge among teachers and reflect together. We are not alone as a teacher in one classroom. That hardly exists. Students kind of have several teachers, teaching perhaps bigger groups, smaller groups, a lot of variation. And as I said on the slides, we can't do it alone. Maybe 20, 30 students in a classroom. We make kind of division, groups, and help each other as teachers. And therefore it is really around is collaboration. We go to the field as a professionals who work together and think together and reflect together. And this has led this process of inclusive education in Iceland, and I guess in many other countries, can be shown on these slides, and how the process has been. It has been a kind of ideological shift, both in ideology and practices. And the main issue is that the school adapts to its students. Before, it was like, well, if you didn't fit into your school and how the education was offered, it was your problem. But this is the main thing, that we have shifted this ideology, that the school helps you to benefit from the education. And this relates to, for example, perspectives on disability. I don't know if you're familiar with kind of medical model of disability and social model of disability. It means that the medical model is that the problem is in the person, and the person has to adapt to the society. But the social model means that the society is responsible to help you benefit in the society. And then the issue of segregation and schooling, and how we talk and work with categorizing and classification of students. And then how we organize special education. Do we see special education as something different and extra from regular education, or is it just integrated in the regular system? And then issues on normalization and integration. But the inclusive ideology means much more than what I mentioned just now. And it means that we are trying to remove all kinds of barriers to learning. And this is very clear and stated in many of the UNESCO documents on inclusive education. And then the focus is on that diversity is the norm. And we have to go around diversity as something normal and deal with that as a normal issue, not something extra, special, different, etc. And then, as I mentioned before, these ideas of participation, it's very important. If you're not active and do not participate in school, you will be less active in the society. And then we focus on exclusion and othering, try to recognize where exclusion takes place, both in practices and policy. And then we have to kind of gear all this into the role of teachers and head teachers, because that's actually where things happen in schools, and how teachers and head teachers are, if they are willing to take these ideas on and bring them on. We can have a policy, very clear and well written, but will nothing happen if the teachers are not with us. Okay. And what I have also mentioned regarding the Icelandic situation, it correlates with what the European Agency for Development in Special Needs Education have highlighted for teachers and schools regarding inclusive education. And they have highlighted these 4 core values. And that's the same, what I've mentioned, to value learner diversity. Learner difference is considered as a resource and an asset to education. So there are huge possibilities for schools to kind of recognize the differences and diversity in students. And then supporting all students and all learners. And teachers should have high expectations for all learners, not only some of them. And we expect all students to succeed from their education. And then the third point is working with others, the collaboration and teamwork, as I mentioned. And then, not the least, is this professional development of teachers. We take our education in Iceland. You have to have a 5-year master education to be licensed to teach in kindergarten, primary and secondary. But that's only a start. Then you have to continue to develop your professional identity and practices, because it's a life learning, long life learning activity. So, if I look into the inclusive school and the teacher, and how we prepare students to work in such a situation, the focus is always that each student is special, actually. And the education must be tailored to the needs of each child. So sometimes we need to create a certain individual education plan for some students, but actually it should be made for all students. And it's just what I also mentioned with we should always focus on that education leads to active participation, and we always try to help students to find their ways or challenge in their education. If they are not kind of strong academic learners, they might have some other abilities which they are really strong in. So we try to help them to find where are your strong sides and what are you best in. Because if you are good in something else, you can use it to wage up what you are less good in. And by doing that, we try to work against all forms of discrimination, but this calls for a different and a new mindset or attitude. And again, it's an ongoing process. It's not, we never reach the goal of inclusive education because it's ongoing. And we get always a new types of students, new groups of students, new group of parents and teachers. Okay, so we see in the inclusive education literature, if you go into that, in English, for example, you see that there are various definitions of what inclusive education is. And it depends on countries what they have highlighted, actually. And you can find various definitions, and I just put 3 on these slides to show you that you can go for that inclusion is about all students with disabilities or some impairments. Or the second one, you can go to that it refers to students with disabilities and special education needs, and their increased participation within the education system. Then you are always in these 2 first definitions, you're always focusing on special groups of students. But in the last one, you are talking about all students, and you want them actively participate in schools. And we just try to organize the teaching such a way that all students are valued and try to kind of avoid exclusionary practices. So it's very important to realize that the standpoint you take leads to what kind of practices you get. And I think I'm almost coming to the end of my time.
I was not telling the truth before.
Okay.
It's 0.3.
Yes, of course.
In special schools.
Yes.
And that's the same in Norway.
Yeah. 0.3, so less than 1%.
You will never forget this number.
Yeah. Now you have got it. So yes, that's right.
Way to talk to you. Somehow strange standing here and you're all sitting on like this amphitheater. start now and try to follow up on Romina's good and very informative approach to inclusive education. Our lecture is named Experiences with Inclusive Education and Value-Based Education in the city of Drammen, which is one of the cities in Norway. My name is Markus Kattrud. I'm a deputy master of Islandu School, which is a school in the city with 400 students, 25 teachers, and 12 pedagogical assistants. We have 10 students with full-time coverage, that's 1-to-1, and 7% of the students with special needs that are included in the 400 students in high school. You can see it, this is the school. For that, I was teacher in the city of Drammen for 15 years.
Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here with you in Brno. I am a deputy head in Drammen Skole, same community as Markus, as he said. In my school we have 500 students, 32 teachers and 12 pedagogical assistants. In my school we have 7 students with special needs that are covered full time, and in addition 8% of our students have special needs that are covered part-time. That means that they have a special teacher for some lectures every week, in addition to the normal teacher. Yes, I have been a school leader for, I think, nearly 20 years in 3 different schools. And this school is different from the other schools I've been working in, because we have a lot of students with foreign backgrounds and other different languages. So I think that's a big challenge, but it's very interesting, and we like to see it as children bringing resources into our schools rather than doing difficulties for us. That's our approach to it. Thank you.
With special needs, I think we have to emphasize that we need all special needs, from oral difficulties to dyslexia and numeracy difficulties with numeracy, or the whole perspective. So in my school, where 7% of the students have special needs, it's quite a range of difficulties. And I think that's important.
Yes, and it's also, when we say special needs, it's also children with behavioral problems that we are working a lot with in our schools. So that's part of it. Yes?
Okay. We tell you a little bit of the city of Drammen. It's nice for you to know about a little bit about our background. Drammen is one of the cities, a city center, one of the fastest growing cities in Norway. At the moment, we are like 65,000 inhabitants. And in our city we have 19 schools, 7,200 students and 700 teachers. In the schools there are also more employees as assistant, pedagogic assistants, but 700 teachers doing the lectures. Population in Drammen is special because Drammen is the second largest immigrant city in Norway. At the moment, 25% of inhabitants are immigrants or Norwegian-born to immigrants' parents. Of those, almost 17% are immigrants with non-Western background, because they are coming from Africa, the Middle East and Asia. And in the district Avstafjell, which Janne school is situated, almost 44% of the population are immigrants or Norwegian-born to immigrants' parents. So that's quite a large number.
And that's why we think, and I feel after a while, I've been working in this school for nearly 5 years, and these days I like to think about myself that I'm colorblind, because I never think about the color of the skin of a student. A student is a student, and I sort of don't recognize it anymore, because that's a normal thing in my school. And meeting students with different languages, meeting parents who can't speak Norwegian, that's the everyday life for me. And in the morning, taking phone calls sometimes is a challenge because it's difficult when you can't see the person in the other end and often speaking a different language. But we manage, and it's quite interesting. And I learn a lot every single day.
And also to emphasize the value of different cultural backgrounds as an asset into the teaching and into the school. And I think it increases the richness of our students' outcome. Moving on from more like value-based themes in our school. The city and the city council has given us some values that should be emphasized in all teaching and what is the goal for all teachers and all schools. And I'll translate it from Norwegian, and it goes like this: a school where each student meet their full academic potential, become a safe, active and independent citizen. This is quite important for us because this is our city council has emphasized the value that every student have to reach their academic potential, to become safe, active and independent. I think it's a good value, and through our schools and through the city of Drammen, this is the core value that all school leaders work against.
Okay, just a little bit about the Norwegian school system, and you have listening to our Icelandic colleagues, and I think the system in Norway and Iceland is quite similar, so I won't say much about that. The Norwegian school system was established in the 18th century. Gradually, schools with special needs developed in Norway to meet the demands of each child. And there was a lot of economic resources and teachers with special competences into these schools to meet the needs of the children with special problems. But in the 1990s, we had a change of law that has made a great difference in the Norwegian school system. The schools for children with special needs were closed down. The children with special needs were transferred to the local schools. At the same time, the government said that the economical resources and the specially educated teachers were transferred to the different local communities and cities. And that's a very, very big change in our school system. So for the last 25 years, we have had nearly all students in the normal school system. And that's a big challenge for the teachers, because they have to make lessons that meet every student every day. And they have to do it in different ways. They have to teach in very different ways to manage this.
As for me, I was telling 0.3% of the students are not in community or public schools, they are in special schools. Those students are students with really, really big needs of help. But actually I have never been to one of those schools. I don't know the system very well. So, what are teachers doing in the classroom to succeed in inclusive education? I think we could talk about this for days. Me and Janne are leading good teachers with a lot of knowledge, a lot of skills, and we have thousands and thousands of ideas about how to do the inclusive education. When we were preparing this lecture, we sat down and talked about what to emphasize, which is the most important things to have in mind when you're planning your lectures, and also what we think gives the best outcome.
And one thing that's very important to Norwegian teachers, Norwegian school system, as well as I think all around the world, is the reading and the reading strategies. And that is going to be a part of every school subject in Norway, not only for the reading classes, but any subject you have to teach the reading and the reading strategies. That's very important. In our Norwegian schools we have 5 basic skills that should be included all the time, and that is, one of them is reading, the other one is writing, and then it's oral, learn students to talk, and numeracy, and the last one is ICT. ICT skills is also very important in Norwegian schools. And for the first 4 years at school, we always have the extra reading teachers, because we think reading is the basic of any other learning.
And when I'm coming into classes to follow up on the teachers in our walkthrough, we're always looking after science of the 5 basic skills. I always emphasize that the teacher has to plan to include the 5 basic skills in their practices, and I'm looking for evidence every day when I'm walking around. Teachers are good. They are good when they're planning and have a lot of proof of these 5 basic skills.
And of course, planning lessons for teachers are quite demanding to meet all the students' needs. And our community emphasizes that teachers have to work together to manage this, as they also said they do in Iceland. It's very important that the teachers come together, as you can see in these pictures, planning every week. And every week they have adjusted plans for learning for all students. And it's including individual adjusted home assignments. It also includes the homework. And what we emphasize these days is that it's planning for learning. It's not planning for doing. So when they start planning, they start to talk about what is my student going to learn this lecture, and how, and afterwards, how am I going to do it, so the student can reach its goal. That's very important, because in the Norwegian system, I think we, earlier days, were planning for activities more than for learning. But today we emphasize the learning part of it.
Learning is the important part of it. You should always measure your own lectures about how my students achieve their goals. If in your own way you're looking at the results and you see the students are not reaching the goals, you'll always ask yourself, do I use the right methods? We have also this planning kit, and it's quite difficult for you to see, but this is physical activities. We emphasize that every child in our schools should do physical activities every day as a part of the learning. That means movement and learning together. We have the ICT, we have the social skills, and we have also ICT, and assignment of learning, and reading, writing, oral, numeracy as a part of every lecture. So this is a manual that our community has made, so all teachers have it. And here you can see our teachers, lovely guys, sitting around and working. Extensive use of the digital tools and resources and digital pedagogics program to increase individual students' outcome is very important for us. It's important for us to emphasize that using ICT is a way of enhancing the learning outcome, not an addition. We have to use it to enhance the students' learning, not as an activity to do in the classroom. You have to think to yourself and ask the question, is this helping my students on the way to achieving their academic goals? Not as an activity. those activities often do not have the potential to enhance teaching. They're just fun and things you do often. Also can be learning, by the way.
As we said before, there are a lot of students in Norway with foreign language backgrounds. And those students coming to our community, if they are coming directly from a foreign country, they have no Norwegian background, they are offered a special program for the first year in Norway. Then two of our schools in Drammen is having programs for these children for the first year. And when they have stayed in this school for 1 year, they come to the home school. And that is where I meet them. Then they come to my school. Then they have been in Norway for 1 year, learned a little bit of Norwegian, and then I have to try to find a way to make them survive or manage in my school. Then I have 2 ways of doing that. One way is, if they are very poor at language skills, they get a special program for 5 lectures every week. If their level is a bit better, they go into the classroom with the Norwegian students, all the lessons, but with some extra teachers or methods in the classroom. So that's the way we do it.
It also depends a lot of the school background. We have a lot of students coming from Eastern Europe, like Estonia, Poland, and they have a good school background. Also, Jana has a student from the Czech Republic. They have a strong school background. They are often very good at mathematics and numeracy, and also are good at reading their mother tongue. So they will somehow have some different approach to learning Norwegian than students coming directly from refugee camps in Pakistan or Afghanistan or Somalia, which have students never gone to school, and it's quite different, and that's a really big challenge for us. Because they have never gone to school, they do not know how to go to school, and they do not know it's difficult coping sitting in a classroom. That's a new thing. But we include them. They are in the classrooms, they're learning from their students' colleagues, they're learning from teachers in the classroom with their comrades, friends. A new thing that we are emphasizing in Norway is the cooperative learning perspective in teaching. Cooperative learning can be many things. We are using Kagan as approach in our school. And cooperative learning is an educational organization that aims to organize classrooms activities into academic and social learning experiences. It's much more to cooperative learning than merely sitting together or working together. It's been described as a structured positive interdependence that students are somehow dependent on each other to have the goal and the outcome of the lecture. And they are using each other's strengths to achieve higher academic levels. That's quite efficient. Students must work in complex tasks collectively towards academic goals, and unlike individual learning, which can be like very competitive in nature, I think it is. Students are learning cooperatively, can capitalize on each other's resources and skills. That means asking your friend for information, getting your friend to give an evaluation on your idea, and monitoring your own work compared to your friend, colleague, student colleague. That's quite important. It's quite strong. It's a really good way to teach everything. Kagan, we can give you some links if you want to use Kagan, and you can also YouTube is a perfect way to learn about Kagan, because there are a lot of tutoring videos at YouTube. If you just Google cooperative learning or cooperative Kagan learning. Also, my school has a lot of information about it, and I can share it if you want. We're also looking about the teacher's role. This is important for us because teachers, like we are doing now, talking to our group, sharing all our knowledge, and we see that a lot of students do not learn. If you can see the pictures, only 25% of these students are learning. 75 is thinking, what I'm going to do today, I'm so tired, when I come home I'm going to play Minecraft, I don't know. They are thinking about all other things. They are not thinking about learning. Cooperative learning is engaging all students. The students must be on, and the learning activities is going on all the lecture, all the time. This is very important, and you can see the one at the back. Is he learning? No, he knows the answer. More questions?
So how does the teacher education go? How do you prepare teachers for this?
I don't work in the teacher education in Norway, but I think at my school what's important for me is that my teachers have skills, that they have tools, that they know methods they can use to meet children which have a high intellectual ability, and the other end, that they have tools, that they know a lot of things, a lot of methods that they can go and use. And I think that's also what the teachers' training is trying to teach them. But that's not my specialty, so, and it's a long time since I went to the teachers' training college, so I can't really answer very well that question. I'm sorry.
Tady se omlouvám, protože nemůžu to otázku odpovědět příliš dobře, protože já jsem na pedagogické fakultě byla už před dávnou dobou, ale to, co je pro mě důležité, jakožto vedení školy, bych u svých učitelů viděla, je, aby měli celou řadu, měli k dispozici celou řadu nástrojů, celou řadu dovedností, jakým způsobem studenty učit. Nevím, jak se to přesně učí na pedagogických školách.
But we're having a reform now. The student and the teacher education are going from 4 to 5 years and being a master degree. We also have, you can see some changes in the way the lectures are done, that more emphasizes the empirical of the student, of the teacher's work. So we have a little change from practical to theoretical, I think. And yeah. Also we have, I don't know if you have it here, we also have students coming out from the colleges to the schools and working with our experienced teachers to learn each year, first, second, third and fourth year at the college.
U nás dochází vzdělávání změnou v této době, rozšiřuje se ze 4 na 5 let. Stává se z toho magisterský titul, master's degree a zdůrazňuje se více, v té reformě se zdůrazňuje praktická, empirická stránka toho učení, těch jejich dovedností, takže od 1. do 4. ročníku také navštěvují vlastně následky, chodí do škol, aby se naučili učit od zkušených učitelů.
Maybe I can add to it because I'm working in a teacher education, and when we get students starting in teacher education, we make it very clear that they are supposed to be responsible for all students. If they think they are coming for school to learn to be a teacher, to teach only certain types of students, they are on the wrong place.
Já pracuji ve vzdělávání učitelů a to, co zdůrazňujeme studentům, když přijdou na pedagogickou fakultu a začínají se učit, tak jim zdůrazňujeme, že jejich cílem má být učit všechny studenty bez ohledu na jejich schopnosti, že pokud přichází do školy s cílem učit jenom někoho, tak jsou na špatné místě.
And I think it's also important to say that when I get a teacher who is just finished its education, I don't think about the teacher as fully educated. We continue to educate the teachers in our schools all the time to meet the needs. Like Marcus were talking about cooperative learning, and that's quite a new thing. and most teachers, they don't know about it, and then we try to educate them all the time.
Také je důležité, že ve chvíli, kdy ke mně do školy přijde nový učitel přímo z pedagogické fakulty, tak já ho nepovažuji za plně vzdělaného učitele. Vzdělávání učitelů pokračuje průběžně a jak Markus hovořil například o učení ve spolupráci, kooperativním vzdělávání dětí, tak to je nová věc a to je věc, kterou se každý učitel v současnosti učí.
And also we think that to be an experienced teacher, you have to teach for like 7 years. It's a long way. It's a long way of learning and to develop your own skills. It's many years of experiences. And also it's new to Norway now that teachers can apply to have further education. And then you reduce your work amount with 40% and go to university or college to learn a lot.
Další věc, kterou jsem chtěl říct, my učitele za plně vzdělaného považujeme v naší škole ve chvíli, kdy má 7 let praxe. To znamená, že v počáteční praxi se musí naučit velké množství věcí. Další věc, která u nás funguje, je v případě, že učitel zažádá o možnost, aby se mohl dále vzdělávat, tak se musí nížit jeho učitelská zátěž o 40%, aby mohl chodit na vysokou školu.
I totally agree with them about the 7 years. It takes a long time. But it's also very important when teacher students go to schools in the practice as a part of the study. If the school they go to is not inclusive school, they do not learn anything about inclusive education. So it's very important to choose the schools very well if you want to make that as a policy.
Zcela souhlasím s těmi 7 lety, to bylo důležité. A další věc je, že v případě, že jde učitel na praxi, aby se naučil, jakým způsobem má učit, tak je strašně důležité, aby chodil do inkluzivní škol, protože pokud nevidí tu praxi té inkluzivity, tak se oni nic nenaučí.
And do students choose the school where they go for practice?
Je to učitel, je to student, který se vybírá, do jaké školy jde na praxi.
No, they don't. It's the teacher's education who chooses for them.
Je to vybírána školu, oni nerozhodují tam, do jaké školy budou.
Similar in Iceland, more or less the schools are choose, but the students can choose within certain area or something.
U nás je to velmi podobné s tím, že je vybrána určitá sada škol, z kterých si student může vybrat a je to dané v zásadě to dané školu.
Ještě bych se chtěla zeptat na způsob financování základního povinného vzdělávání, čili jestli je, jak to říct jednoduše, jakým způsobem jsou financovány školy v případě, že mají ti děti s nějakou potřebou víc, jestli to je nějak zohledněno v rozpočtu, nebo prostě jakým způsobem získávají školy prostředky na to, aby mohly naplňovat ty potřeby všech dětí.
I'm going to ask about financing. How are the schools financed, especially as regards when there is a school that has a higher percentage of students with special needs? Is that reflected somehow in their budget? Do they receive special resources so that they could fulfill the aims that are expected from them?
The different communities in Norway have different systems for that. In our community, we get a certain amount of money for each student, and it's independent of the student needs. So when I have 500 students, I get per head, we'll go over that, and he gets per head for 400 students. And if we have students with very heavy special needs, we can get a little bit extra money, but that's not a lot.
Z toho regionu vlastně ta komunita rozhoduje, jakým způsobem jsou ty školy financovány. U nás je to tak, že se to dělá na hlavu, že vlastně podle počtu studentů, takže já dostávám peníze na 500 studentů, kolega dostává peníze na 400 studentů. V případě, že máme studenta, který vyžaduje opravdu velké potřeby speciální, tak na něj dostanou maličký příplatek, ale není to opravdu mnoho.
I think one subject in inclusive education we haven't talked about is how to include especially gifted students in their schools. We haven't mentioned it, and that's also an important part of the inclusive education. We have to include all, not just the weakest one. You also have to include the brightest one as well. So that's a perspective you have to take in when you're talking about inclusive education.
My jsme se tady celou dobu inkluzivní vzdělávání, ale hovořili jsme ještě o jednom aspektu. Musíme kapitálně se snažit nebo usilovat o to, abychom do toho vzdělávání zapojili ty nejslabší. Nicméně ty nejnadanější jsou také speciální otázka, také potřebují speciální přístup a je to také důležité pro tu inkluzivitu.
And I know it's not my school but a neighboring school. They are having a few specially gifted children who are going to the secondary school for some lectures every week to meet their needs. So we try to get a system where gifted children can also have their challenges and meet their needs. But that's something is quite new for us, so we try to make it possible.
Toto je věc, která je pro nás, pro náš systém velmi nová, takže pracujeme na tom, jakým způsobem to uspořádat, aby i velmi nadaní studenti měli příležitost čelit nějakým výzvám, aby to vyučování pro ně bylo zajímavé. Tak netýká se to třeba mé školy, ale třeba vím, že sousední škola má několik studentů, kteří jsou vysoce nadaní a ty chodí několikrát do týdne, chodí na střední školu, kde vlastně chodí na jejich hodiny, aby to pro ně bylo zajímavé.
And one last thing I want to emphasize is we are working hard to look at the school journey from kindergarten to out of secondary school, the 10 years plus kindergarten. So we have an inclusive educational review of the student journey from 1 year old to 16 years old, through the 15 years. And kindergarten is quite an important part to meet the needs of the children going into first grade. Kindergarten is important.
Co jsem taky chtěl zdůraznit je, že když hovoříme o inkluzivitě, tak to inkluzivitu bereme po celou dobu školní docházky, ale včetně školky. A školka je proto, aby byly děti připravené do školy, velmi důležitá a ta inkluze je tam taky důležitá od školky až do těch 16 let do ukončení té 10leté povinné školní docházky. Vlastně celý ten průběh musí toto zohlednit.
Okay.
Já bych si chtěla zeptat, jestli v těch školách jsou i žáci s nějakým těžším mentálním postižením nebo třeba nevídomí, neslyšící.
I'd like to ask you if you have experience with students who have severe mental disability or, for instance, blind people or deaf students with hearing impairment.
We have a deaf student in our school.
Máme hluché studenty.